Right, okay, so we're going to look at completing the square today. So this is the do now task. There is a lot of questions, so we're only going to do a couple of them. So these questions just ask you to factorise. So the first question, they both have an x in common, and then inside would be x minus 4. If you want to check it, you could just expand the bracket. So x times x is x squared, and then x times minus 4 is minus 4x, so that works. The next one, what do? We look for two numbers that times to give me negative 20, but add to give me positive 10. If you want to write all the multiples down of 20 to have a go, you can. But two numbers, because it's a negative at the end, that means one of them has to be a negative and one has to be a positive. So in this question, I'm going to have positive 10 and negative 2, because 10 minus 2 is going to give me 8. Right, the next one, two numbers that multiply to give me positive 49, but when I add them I get 14. Well, that's just 7 and 7. So you can write that as one bracket and write squared. Okay, I'll do one more, then I'm going to move on. So two numbers that times to give me 40, but add to give me negative 13. So in this one, because my number is a negative, they're both going to be negative, the negative 13. So 40, you could write down your multiples of 40 if you're not sure. So 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4 and 10, 8 and 5. So it's going to be negative 8, negative 5. Right, now there's the answers for them if you want to have a look. Right, now we're going to have a look at completing the square. So we're going to have a look at just doing first a nice simple one. So when we are completing the square, what we're doing is we're taking a quadratic and we're putting it in vertex form. What does that mean? So if you have a quadratic, for example, if it looks like this, it tells you where that turning point is. So where the minimum or maximum point is. So in this quadratic, if I graphed it over here, we've looked at how we solve. So like where you would cross the x-axis, whether it's one or two places. You can see where it crosses the y-axis, which the number at the end, in this case, would be 0. So it would go through here. And then now we're going to have a look at completing the square. You can use completing the square to solve or find that turning point. Right, so step one, what we do is we look at the number, the coefficient that is in front of x, and we always just divide that by 2. So what we do is we open a bracket, we put x, we divide that by 2 and we get 5, and then we write a squared. Okay, if I actually expanded this bracket out, okay, you would be left with x squared plus 10x, and then you'd have 25 at the end, and we don't want this, this is extra. So what we do is we have to subtract whatever number's inside. Let's change the colour so you can copy me. Squared. Okay, so then to finish this question off, this answer would be minus 25. Okay, to link that with the graph, what does that tell me? This tells me that the minimum point is going to be whatever number's here, we change it to a negative, but then the y is just going to stay what it is on the outside. Okay, I can't put it on this graph because it's a low number, but that's what we do. Right, let's go and have a look when we actually have C at the end. Okay, so I've used the same one, but I've just put plus 10 at the end. So first step you do, again, exactly the same. I'm going to open a bracket. I'm going to put x. This is going to be plus 5 squared. And then whatever number's inside, we subtract that squared. The only difference in this question is you can't forget there's also a plus 10. So you put that at the end. Okay, right, then what I'm going to do is I need to simplify. So that's going to be minus 25 plus 10. So then my last step is to actually say, well, what's minus 25 plus 10? It is minus 15. So again, the minimum point here, it's going to be negative 5. So it's always this, but you change the sign. And then it's always the number at the end for the y. Again, I can't really fit that on my graph, but what would it look like? Negative 5, negative 15 would be about here. And it would look something like that. Not like that. Like that. Right, let's go and have a go at another question then. Maybe pause it, have a go yourself, but I'm going to go straight in. This time it's a negative 8. So in my bracket, I'm going to have x minus 4 squared. You still take away the number that's inside, so negative 4 squared. And then again, don't forget you have to have the plus 5 at the end. So x minus 4 squared. Negative 4 squared is 16 plus 5. So if I just tidy that up, negative 16 plus 5 is negative 11. So my minimum point for this question, x this time is positive 4 and the y would be negative 11. Okay, so if I sketch it, 4, negative 11 would be right down here. My graph would look something like that. That would be the minimum point. Okay, and there's the answers. Right, these are just a couple more things that it's just going with what we've just said. So these have already been completing the square. So when we're looking for the minimum or maximum point, whatever's inside, if it's a negative p, you put the positive here, and then whatever number's on the outside will be your y. Right, head over to Google Classroom for your task.